Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Lexington's virtual online Sunday celebration service. It's the next best thing to being together, but honestly, I have to tell you, I miss everybody so much on Sundays. I really do. I miss the hugs. I miss the music. I miss everything. So please continue to hold the vision that we'll be back together before too long. Love you guys. All right, wherever you are on your spiritual path, you're welcome here. And I hope you enjoyed today's service, and I hope there's something that you can take away. Even if it's just a little something, it would just make me so happy because I'm here to serve you. So, all right, I have a few things to say. Last week I put out the call for donations, and you all really stepped up, and I so appreciate it. And I should say we appreciate it because we can continue this meaningful ministry with your financial love offerings, your help, and I so appreciate it. For those of you who are new, you can go to our website and hit the donate link, and it'll take you immediately, I think, to PayPal or something similar. I'm not the IT person, so. And then also on Facebook, believe it or not, it's the Shop Now button. I don't quite understand all that, but it's okay, it works. So, or you can mail it to us. And I can give you that address really quick, I think. Post Office Box 910213. Lexington, Kentucky 40591-0213. Again, Post Office Box 910213, Lexington, Kentucky 40591-0213. So thank you so much, and I hope during the talk you'll give me some little emojis. I love those hearts and those like buttons and the laugh emoji and the care. I'm an emoji person. I love all of that, so thank you. I see Belinda's watching, and Peg Fox is watching, maybe Joe too, I'm sure. Love you guys. Hi. All right. If you're here also for the first time, what I would say is that this is not the usual length of service. Belinda, did I say? Yeah, you're watching. Thank you. Good. It'll last about 40 minutes, and of course when we meet in person it's an hour. We may shorten that when we go back together. Depends on what y'all want and like. All right, I think that's all I wanted to say in the way of announcements. So what we're going to do now is have our opening prayer, and I would just invite you to close your outer eyes, and we'll have a little music. There is only one presence and one power active in our lives and in the universe, and that is God the Good, Omnipotent. We dedicate this day to your will and your work, God. We open our hearts and minds to your guidance and your prompting. Help me, O God, to be open to the present moment, where all power of creativity lives. We hold all in the light, especially those adversely affected by the coronavirus. The caregivers, the first responders, the essential workers, the patients, their families. We all send them love and light. And we envision peace in our family, in our home, in our community, in our state, in our nation, and in our world. Let this vision of healing and of peace live through and as us. And we give thanks. And we pray these prayers this morning in and through and after the nature and the power of the living God present in all creation. And so it is. Amen. All right. Our daily word today is taken actually from Saturday because I thought that was just so much more apropos to what's going on right now to share with you. The word for today is positive. Hey, David. The word for today is positive. I am positive in all my thoughts and actions. It is easy to feel overwhelmed by what seems like, is this true, a never-ending stream of distressing news. That's what I would call it. When people around me are caught up in fearful, anxious, or agitated states, I remain determined to not be swept up in negativity. I choose instead to take a stand and focus on the positive. Easy to say, not easy to do, but very powerful. My first step is to surround myself with other positive people. With their support, I find it easier to stay positive. I keep my thoughts and actions optimistic as I encourage others to do the same. I believe blessings are everywhere and good can come out of all things. This is what the Tao teaches. It's wonderful. Even if an event seems troubling, I am grateful for the seeds of good that it holds. My positivity is infectious as I share words of truth with everyone I meet. And the scripture for today is taken from the book of Job, chapter 8, verse 19. See, these are their happy ways, and out of the earth still others will spring. Absolutely, because I so remember the days of when Martin Luther King marched. And it just seemed like nothing good was ever going to come out of it. But it changed the way we do things as a nation, as a government. So good did come out of it. So we need to hang in there and know that those seeds for good are embedded in what's happening today. And they will sprout and they will grow. And that gives us hope to move through the really difficult times. It truly does. Okay, we're going to enter into our meditation this morning. So again, I would invite you to close your outer eyes. And this is a meditation that I came across years ago called My Healing Prayer. So I hope you enjoy it. So just allow my words to be the words of your own heart. I am calm, centered, and completely relaxed. I surrender my body, my will, and my spirit to your will, God. I release all fear, anxieties, anger, all unforgiven states in myself and those perceived in others. I release all that is unlike love. And I ask, dear God, to heal any sense of separateness from you. I long to know that my thoughts are your thoughts, that my words are your words, that my actions are you living through me. I long for a constant, gentle knowing that you are with me always. I feel your love for me. I know you are with me always, protecting and guiding me. I accept that love and allow it to fill my heart and to heal my spirit. I feel your presence in and around me now. I feel your presence active in my life, and I feel my oneness with you. So I relax and I listen to you, God. I quiet my mind and feel your holy presence in this moment. And I invite you to go into the silence and feel that holy, holy power and presence. Let's do that in the silence together for just a few moments. thank you for your activity in me and in my life. I am open to your will so that I may allow your light to shine through me, that I may glorify your name and live in your eternal grace, O God. And I give thanks that these things are done, for I have prayed in the name and through the power of the living Christ Spirit, the living God that dwells within me. And so it is. Amen and amen. All right. Are you ready to go with me to embark on a grand experiment? I hope so. And I'm going to start by doing something I don't usually do very often. And it's not deliberate, it just seems that it doesn't happen very often. But I'm going to start with reading to you from the book of Genesis. And I must tell you that over the years, I have come to discover how fascinating the book of Genesis describes how creation began, the universe began. It's just so fascinating. So I want to start by quoting that with you. So imagine for a moment that what the universe might have been like before the source of all that is, and that's what I'll be referring to, God, to Spirit, the source of all that is. Imagine what that might have been like before the source that is decided to move through and have a more tangible, concrete, solid, material form of itself. Just imagine that. Imagine the dark and the deep. And this is what really strikes me about this quote, is about what is happening beneath. And it's the deep. And it's a silent, powerful deep. And this is what the book of Genesis says. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. So the energy of God was swirling all about, and beneath the surface, all this creation was taking place, both in the deep and below the surface. And in the deep, it must have been like what it's like when a seed is growing and we can't see it, and it's getting ready to just burst forth in that darkness, and the tendrils are beginning to reach up toward the light. And the wind of God must have been like that powerful energy which is unseen, but we feel its presence so keenly. So I invite you to imagine how it was when the source of all that is had the divine idea of experiencing itself in a more expansive and grander way. Hey, Mary Jean. I love waving to people. All right. And then God said, "Let there be light." Now, this is all found in Genesis, Genesis chapter 1, first chapter. The ongoing verses do not describe specifically what took place in the creation of light, but it simply says, "And there was light." So we get to imagine it. But perhaps it was very much like the Big Bang theory postulates, that there were rumblings all around and a great building up of energy. And the air, I just think, must have been alive with this kind of electricity. And then suddenly there was this burst of light that exploded into being, and the universe was forever changed. A new future was established in those creative moments. And I just believe that was God, that was Spirit, that was whatever you want to call God, the source of all that is, was wanting to experience itself in a grander way, a more expansive, fuller way. So it's relative today for me to share that story, because there's that something within us that wants to experience life at a grander, more expansive level Excuse me. And I don't know if you feel it, but I have felt it. And I encourage you to get in touch with that feeling that says there is a part of you that is living life, but wants to live a greater life, a more expansive life, a more aware life than you're now living. And your soul will speak to you in these wonderful ways to embark upon the experiment of living life in a fuller way. And that's what I'm talking about today, and that's what I'm inviting you to do today, because it can be so rewarding. You can move into the greatest, what is it that, I'm trying to think of his name right now. I need to take a drink. He wrote The Conversations with God, and he talks about becoming the greatest, grandest version of ourselves that we've ever been. And that's what I'm talking about today. Okay. I feel that this energy is wanting to come out in each of us. Each of us. Because this time this energy is wanting to burst forth, and it's taking place within something that's already created, and that something is us. So I feel it with all the unrest and all the rumbling and all the high energy that's going on today in our world. Individually and collectively, it tells me that we are ready for the next turn on the spiral of our own evolution. And we're ready to burst into the future. So I'm inviting you to begin with me this grand experiment of becoming the greatest, grandest, most full and wonderful version of ourselves that we've ever been. And I'm going to give you some ideas about how to go about doing that. Here's what renowned cosmologist Brian Swimme, now not cosmetologist, but cosmologist, indicates that we're entering the fourth age of the universe. The first age was the tribal age. The second age, he says, was the age of civilizations. So the Chinese, the Asian, Amerindian all came into being. The third, of course, we are very familiar with, is the scientific technological era. I would call it the age of information now. And he describes this fourth age that we're now moving into as this. The earth will be understood as the womb of creativity. It will be understood as awakening to the planetary responsibility. And I think that's exactly what's going on today. And it's about providing the earth with heart and mind, this fourth age. It's about the earth now beginning to awaken through us. And that's also very obvious to me. And finally, he says, this fourth age is about the understanding we are not here to be served, but rather to serve. And that's something I think we're gradually moving into. I want to say hi to Patrick and Essie. How are you? So today we're entering into this fourth age, and we are embarking on a grand experiment in becoming the most full and free version of ourselves we can be. And we're going to take a look at 3 ingredients that we need in order to conduct this experiment. And the foundation of these 3 ingredients is found in Henry David Thoreau's book, Walden. And it's a book written about his experience of spending 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days, I don't know why all the twos, maybe somebody can enlighten me, living in a little cabin he built on Walden Pond in Concord, Massachusetts. And he concluded the book with these words. And the 3 ingredients that we're going to talk about today are taken from this quote. He said this, "I learned this, at least by my experiment, that if one advances confidently in the direction of their dreams and endeavors to live a life which they have imagined, they will meet with a success unexpected. They will put some things behind. They will pass an invisible boundary. New universal and more liberal laws will begin to establish themselves around and within them, or the old laws will be expanded and interpreted in their favor in a more liberal sense, and they will live with the license of a higher order of being. Now, I don't know about you, but this sounds really good to me. I would like to live in a higher order of being. Who wants to say we're stuck where they are? Not me. So we're going to take a look together at the 3 ingredients that are contained in this quote, the 3 ideas that are contained in this quote. The first idea is taken from his quote, "If one advances confidently in the direction of their dreams." If we want to advance in the direction of our dreams and our visions, we've got to know what they are. You would be amazed at how many people don't know, how many people have not actually really put their dreams down on paper, even thought about them, even prayed about them, even visioned them, even imagined them. You would just be surprised how many people, for whatever reason, don't do that. It's critical that we do that because, we've got to learn to articulate our dreams and visions. This is a really important metaphysical principle. Now, you English majors out there are going to hate this, okay? Because I'm using 2 negatives, but it gets the point across. We cannot not create. We cannot not breathe. Our heart cannot not beat. We cannot not create. And because we cannot not create, we either create by design or by default. Now, by that I mean we are either conscious and aware and have articulated our dream, and we are designing our life. But if we have not done that, what happens is we go through life with this knee-jerk reaction to everything that is happening to us on the outer and going at us, and that's how we go through life. That is a very powerless, L-E-S-S, powerless way to go through life. What is a powerful way to go through life? A powerful way to go through life is to create from within to the outer. Is to be able to experience life within and then express it without. So your visions and your dreams are articulated and they are lived from the inside out. And life then is not lived from the outside in. We are not victims. We are powerful, spiritual beings. So that's what I'm talking about today. So we're either intentionally calling forth what is within us in the way of our dreams and our next turn on the spiral of our evolution, or we're creating by what it is we see and perceive in the world. Whoa. Nah. In our past experiences, in our programming, in our paradigms. So if we're not designing our life, we're creating it by default in those ways. So having put it all in those terms, what would you prefer? Surely you would prefer to create by design. I hope you do. All right. Few of us actually do, as I said earlier. I don't know why that is, but many of us create by default. So we have a favorite saying in Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's this: doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. I've been guilty of it. I totally admit. And Reverend Mary Morrissey says this, and I love this: if we truly want to live more freely, more expansively, she said, some people live 90 years and some live 1 year 90 consecutive times over again. Now, would you agree that you may even know people like that? If you do, help them. Inspire them, motivate them. So, if we want to live more freely, more expansively, more fully, we have got to learn to live, to create by design. And we have to begin by having a picture or a vision of what it is we wish to create. In the class that I have taught often, called The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, based on the book by the author Catherine Ponder of the same title, she says that accomplishment is 20% work in the outer and 80% work done on the inner plane. We have to keep this principle in mind when we're creating at our next level of expression. 20% on the outer, 80% on all of the inner work done here, all of the visions and dreams articulated and created and designed and expressed outward. Okay, so the questions I pose to you today are this. What is your vision for a more expansive life? What is your dream? And are you clear about it? I have a story to share with you. In 1976, a retired bodybuilder, you probably already know who this is, an aspiring actor with a thick Austrian accent, a monstrous build, and a name rather difficult to pronounce, was interviewed and asked, "What are you going to do next?" Without skipping a beat, he replied, "I'm going to be the #1 box office star in all of Hollywood." I don't know, that's a bad accent. The interviewer tried not to laugh at this seeming preposterous statement because, you see, this aspiring actor's first attempts at movies hadn't been promising, and his Austrian accent and monstrous build hadn't brought him success. He went on to say, "It's the same process I use in bodybuilding. What you do is create a vision of what you want to be, and then live into that picture as if it were already true." And in the mid-1900s, Arnold Schwarzenegger achieved this vision. Yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger and many gold medal Olympians, I would say. Okay, so Thoreau says, if one advances confidently in the direction of their dreams and endeavors to live the life they have imagined, they will meet with a success unexpected. Whoa. So I invite you this week to contemplate and envision what a more expansive, more free and fuller expression of your life would be like in these 4 areas: your health, your finances, your relationships, and your creativity, which may or may not include your work. Okay? Here's what Ernest Holmes, founder of religious science, said: consciousness must be conscious of something. And someone else said, anonymous, remember, inspiration without action is merely entertainment. So, this can remain a theory in your head, everything I say here today. So what good is that? So what you want to do is put these ideas into practice. Do these experiments. Try these experiments. What's the worst possible thing? You could just make no real progress and kind of remain where you are would be the worst possible thing, I guess. I don't know, but I encourage you to put them into action, the principles that we talk about. Okay, so number 2 idea taken from Thoreau's quote. They will put some things behind them. So there's only one really important thing we need to put behind us, and that is this tendency to accept what is happening in the outer as what we assimilate and what we use to go forward in our spiritual evolution. And we have got to drop that. Drop the statistics, drop what everybody else tells you if it doesn't agree with what you imagine. Drop all of that. Drop the reports, drop the news, drop everything that is not in alignment with your dream and your vision. And I don't care how preposterous your dream is. Drop it all that doesn't line up with what you envision and dream and believe is possible. We've got to learn to do that. Outer conditions, we have got to stick them where they belong, and that's behind us. We have got to do this, because if we don't, we can't possibly continue to imagine. We can't possibly think it might happen. And we just can't really take that next turn on the spiritual evolution of our soul's growth and development. We can't. So I have another quote for you from a man named Wallace, and it's found in his book, The Science of Getting Rich. If you don't have this book, I really highly, especially if you're having any financial challenges, I highly recommend you get this book. and not only read it, but study it, which is what I have done, and it has paid off. So, here's what he says. To think according to appearances is easy. To think truth, regardless of appearances, is laborious. I haven't heard that word in a long time. But, this was a long time ago in the Victorian days. And requires more power than any other work you may ever be called upon to do. To think health when surrounded by the appearance of disease or illness. To think riches when in the midst of really lack and poverty even, requires power. But he says the one who acquires this power becomes a mastermind. This person can conquer fate. This person can have what they want. Okay. Hello to Kim. If you do acquire this book, I urge you not to just read it, but to study it, as I said before. And how do we think thoughts of health when the opposite seems very apparent in the outer? It's clear that we must be awake and aware of our thinking about what's happening. Our thinking. Emerson said, stand guard at the portals of your mind. That is one of my most favorite quotes that I've ever come across. Stand guard at the portals of your mind. This is crucial, because we have, let's see if I can find it here. I should have it memorized. Well, I'll come up on it here pretty shortly. Okay, so this is the way that we are able to turn higher ideas which support our dreams and visions, is to stand guard at the portals of our mind. And the author Wattles says in this book, if you fix your consciousness, the fact that the desire you feel for possession of riches is one with the desire of omnipotence for more complete expression, your faith becomes invincible. Whoa, your faith becomes invincible. God, the one substance, that's a capital S, is trying to live and do and enjoy things through us. Spirit is saying, I want hands to build wonderful structures. I want hands to play divine harmonies, to paint glorious pictures. I want feet to run my errands, eyes to see my beauty, tongues to tell mighty truths, and to sing marvelous songs. That's pretty wonderful. Wow, what a call. If that doesn't motivate us, I don't know what will. All right, so number 3, key idea taken from Thoreau's quote. They will pass an invisible boundary. New, universal, and more liberal laws will begin to establish themselves around and within them. Or the old laws will be expanded and interpreted in their favor in a more liberal sense. Well, that's a fancy way of saying we can form things in our thought by impressing our thought upon this substance. Now, substance is the creation of God. The entire creation of God is substance. And the Latin word substare means stand under. It's the energy of God that stands under everything. That's substance with a capital S. So, that statement that I just shared with you about forming things by our thought and impressing it upon the substance, the formless substance, the thing that we think about can be created. Okay, that statement is very much one of 5 statements in unity, 5 principles that we teach in unity. Not dogma, but just 5 principles, which are really wonderful. It's called the law of mind action, the law of formative thought. And here's how it reads. Human beings create their experience by the activity of their thinking. Everything in the manifest realm, everything that we experience out there, has its beginning in thought. Has its beginning in thought. Really important to stand guard at the portals of your mind. I've shared many times about the sign in Alaska. You know, they have a lot of roads in Alaska that are ruts. They're ruts that your wheels go into. And there's a sign in Alaska that says, and there's a rut here for tires, a rut here for tires, and it goes in this direction, and a rut here for tires that goes in another direction. And what the sign says is, choose your rut carefully because you're going to be in it for the next 20 miles. You know, some people are in their ruts their whole life, like Mary Morrissey said. They're not living a new year. They're living the same year over and over again consecutively. So let's choose our ruts carefully. And, you know, we do create ruts. This is scientifically proven that we create ruts in our brain. We create psychoneurological channels in our brain as a result of holding the same thought over and over and over again. In Unity we say, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And the key word is held. Held. The thoughts that we think over and over again are creating channels in our brain. Wow, that's pretty. That's where science and spirituality are coming together, and I love it. I love it. My favorite saying is, the behind follows the mind. I couldn't resist, but really, it's pretty simple. The behind follows the mind. Okay, I don't know who said that, but I love it. All right, so when Thoreau talks about, and we're getting to the end here, I think my time is about up. He's talking about the God energy when he talks about substance that stands under everything. So I have a couple of affirmations for you this morning. I am the rich, radiant substance of the universe. I am the rich, radiant substance of the universe. And this has been proven scientifically, that you are the substance of the universe. Your body, if nothing else, contains all of the elements that the earth was formed from. We're one with the universe. All right, I am the rich, radiant substance of the universe. And the second affirmation I have for you, every phase of my life is blessed with this rich, radiant substance. Every phase of my life is blessed with this rich, radiant substance. And listen, these are powerful. Go around the house saying them. You know, if you don't live alone, you might want to warn everybody. But that speaking them makes them a zillion times more powerful. Writing them makes them much more powerful. So I hope you remember them so that they can help you. Okay, I'm going to recap because I know that some of this was pretty deep this morning. So I'm going to recap with the 3 ingredients to becoming a fuller, more free and expansive version of ourselves. And these are the 3 key ingredients that are necessary for us to conduct this spiritual experiment this next week. I hope you do. Number 1, we must know and articulate what exactly our dreams and visions are. Number 2, we must not be impressed and influenced by outer conditions. And number 3, we need to remember that our thoughts create our reality and experiences. Our thoughts create the manifest realm. All right. Well, I certainly hope that I have shared something with you today so that you can embark on your divine unfolding and your grand experience. And like I always say, I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week. You can always write me and tell me what you'd like to hear. RevCarolUnity@gmail.com. I'm more than happy to hear your wishes out there. I'm happy to do it. So I hope you have a wonderful week. and enjoy this wonderful, nurturing, cleansing rain. I'm loving it. My flowers in my yard especially are loving it. Okay, I love you guys, and I can't wait till next week to see you again and be with you again, at least virtually. And I hope you have a wonderful week. God love you. God bless you. Amen.